So, are artists just blaming Reverb Nation when they sign up and don't become instantly famous? Or is there something a little more fishy going on here? Okay, so I went down this rabbit hole recently with Reverb Nation, and it was because a local artist posted about them. And to be fair, the post wasn't favorable. But one of the interesting things besides that, right, is that I noticed that they were ranking locally, nationally, and then very, very high globally as well. And they posted their stats as part of this post, and the stats were not where I would expect them to be for someone that's ranking that high on a national level or global or, even locally, it wasn't where I expected it would be. So I thought that was very interesting, and I went down this whole rabbit hole about how the ranking works and how Reverb Nation works, and I learned some interesting stuff. Some of it is kind of hearsay, I'm sure. So I'm gonna put links in the description to, like, a lot of the things that I read. It's just gonna kinda be a content dump of links, but it was very interesting, so I thought I should share what I learned today and see what you all think and hear about your experiences because I have not used Reverb Nation at all. I was thinking about maybe doing a video where I try it out and go through all the details, in the video, so let me know if that's something you wanna see, especially after this video. Let me know if that's something that you might be interested in. And, I wasn't super aware before, like, a week ago that Reverb Nation was still much of a thing, so, everything I'm saying, take it with a grain of salt. It's just what I found and what I've heard, and this is a bit of a gossip video, so to speak, but, people report their experiences, and it's fairly interesting, so with that said, let's dig into it. So a lot of what I found kind of falls under this category of people just complaining about stuff, right? So people would complain about how Reverb Nation doesn't answer their emails or how Reverb Nation closed their accounts as soon as they tried to withdraw money from the music distribution service, which I didn't realize that they have a music distribution service. I know that a lot of distribution services get bad reviews because people tend to get grumpy about, how little they're making or this or that or what have you, and all the copyright issues are a bit of a rat's nest to work through. For example, I have a link in my description for DistroKid. If you want to use that, I believe it gets you a discount, and that's an affiliate link, right? But I've been using DistroKid for years, and I've been perfectly happy with it, and I know that there are people out there that have posted negative reviews and complained about DistroKid and complained about their experience with it, and I'm sure some of them, it's a very legit complaint, So similarly, I'm sure some of these complaints, are legit complaints, but on the other side of that, the system might be good in some ways too. Some people might have a very good experience with the system. So, a lot of what I saw was kinda just like that whole product review ecosystem where you can get some very negative reviews and, some positive, but it did seem like there were more negative reviews for Reverb Nation than I see for most services. And the one that mentioned their account getting closed when they tried to withdraw money, that's kind of a yikes to me. Another thing that was kind of a yikes to me was the people reporting that they were being charged multiple times a month for services that they didn't sign up for or that they tried to cancel and they were unable to cancel it. And then Reverb Nation found out how to keep charging them even when their card expired, for example, which is wild. I don't know how that happens. But, just something to think about. The other thing that wouldn't necessarily be that surprising to me or that bad, that much of a red flag to me necessarily, and wouldn't be a reason to make a YouTube video about it, right, is the idea that the owner of the website is using some kind of a service to hide their identity on who is. So people protect their privacy, right? People want to protect their privacy. This could be part of that. But when you kind of sum everything together, it can maybe be used as an argument for a lack of transparency or some kind of sketchiness going on with the site. So that all seems fairly tame, pretty par for the course. Like maybe they have more negative reviews than most, but nothing groundbreaking here. But when you start digging into some of their services, then it gets kind of scammy or it starts to look pretty scammy to an outsider, right? So one thing that I found was the idea that you have to pay to rank on their site. So ReverbNation has things called tools that you can use within their site. And these tools are paid, right? So you're paying for these tools to use these tools. And they've made statements, written statements and emails and stuff like that, that it's not your stats at all that affect your ranking. Although they do seem to factor in social media accounts that you link to the site. But it's not your stats, apparently, that affects your ranking. It's your use of their tools. And so they'll say it's the use of the tools, it's not the stats. But when you then look into it and find out that the tools are paid, that makes it look a little bit more like a pay to rank system, to me at least. And that kind of partially explains to me how you can be someone that comparatively, like compared to other social media platforms like Instagram or whatever, you can have someone with very low views, what would be considered very low views or listens on another type of social media profile, and they will be ranked extremely, extremely, extremely high on ReverbNation. And maybe part of that is just due to the amount of traffic they're getting nowadays. I don't know exactly what they're getting in terms of traffic, but these paid tools do kind of partially explain that, and it sheds it in a different light, and it makes it very interesting to me. And I found one article where somebody actually was able to rank #1 locally almost immediately upon signing up, just by linking their social media accounts. And I mean, I'm sure if you have a really good social media following, that makes a ton of sense. But it's kind of interesting. And another thing that's kind of similar in my head to things like the recurring payments and not being able to cancel subscriptions and not communicating with people is the idea that ReverbNation doesn't do much of anything about copyright infringement. And that can get pretty serious. They should at least have the appearance of taking it seriously, like they should at least take it seriously. There's a spectrum of how much action you maybe should take as an organization like them, like they are. But apparently it seems like they don't do a lot to prevent it. They don't feel like they're responsible for it, and they don't reply to a lot of these requests or reports. So there are a couple other things that I wanted to touch upon here involving these paid tools that seem kind of scammy, right? So one is the review system. So apparently on ReverbNation, you can pay for reviews for your song. So depending on how much you pay, ReverbNation will send out your track to a set number of listeners to write reviews for you. So this seems like it could be a very helpful tool. And they're sending them out to real listeners, apparently. And if you get some good reviews in, you could use that. You could put that on your website. It seems like it would be a really great tool. But it was interesting because I found this one article, and it's going to be one of the links in the description. But this one person paid for a review on their track, and their track was instrumental. There were no lyrics. And some of the reviews that they got back talked about the lyrics. So it was very obvious to this person that these listeners that were supposedly being paid to listen to their track and write a review were not even listening to the track. To get something that wrong, to get something so simple as to whether or not there were lyrics in the song, whether or not it had lyrics at all, that shows that the person didn't listen to their track. And it was really interesting because in this article, the person posted a bunch of the reviews that they got, and multiple reviews made it seem like the person did not listen to the song at all. And other than that, they were like riddled with spelling and grammar mistakes, which, it maybe isn't that awful a thing. But if you're trying to put it on your website and have it seem very professional, you want things to be spelled right. You want it to seem like it was, someone who's native to the language that they're writing in wrote it. You want it to make sense. You want it to be cohesive sentences talking about your music and hopefully saying nice things, right? So I thought that was really interesting. It's just like they're taking money to provide this service, and then the service is not good. And I'm sure some of that is based on the listeners that they're sending them out to, right? It's on an individual basis. If they're real people, right? They obviously can't make sure that every single person sits there and listens to the song, right? They're not going to micromanage these people that much. But, it'd be interesting if they could develop a system where where you can flag somebody for giving a review that made it very clear that they didn't listen to the song, and then once someone's flagged enough times, they're no longer in the system. That could be something to do, right? Kinda like how, I don't know, like Uber or Lyft do things, right? But, not to use Uber or Lyft as a model for how to do much, but, it's just I don't know. It's really interesting. It's really interesting because on some level, it's the responsibility of the listener that's lying about having listened to the song. But on the other side, it's like as a paying client of this website, you expect to get at least like a bare minimum of quality out of what you're paying for. And that's just doesn't seem to be there. Okay, and there's one more thing that I just want to talk about because I'm running out of time here. And if you want, let me know. Maybe I can do a video where I actually use ReverbNation and try it out and see what it's actually like and show that process. But one other thing that I found out, this one review kind of explains it pretty well. I also found this concept in other reviews and in a bunch of articles and stuff like that. But what they said was that when you're on ReverbNation, quote, there are constant notifications with the false pretense that you are crawling the charts with popularity, each of these ending with a request for money. Most musicians are not making much money off of this site. So it's very disturbing that they will ask for so much money. And then later in the same review, they said, quote, I noticed very early that if you submitted songs to their opportunities, that you got the identical rejection letter regardless of whom you submitted it to. If you send them money, your name will go up their area charts, and when you don't, it will go down. So part of this talks about stuff that I've already mentioned, right? The idea that you're paying to rank, which is not great. That's one of my least favorite things about what I figured out here and one of the big reasons why I'm making this video. But the other thing here is the arguably predatory behavior around these opportunities, right? And this is actually pretty common in the music industry, right? There are a lot of people offering opportunities or basically like promising that you'll have a Grammy if you buy XYZ or if you do XYZ. And it's not that simple. And I don't know, the whole thing is pretty complicated. And there are arguments in both directions, but a lot of it does seem pretty predatory to me. But the wording here of, oh, you're ranking high on the charts, you're raising in the charts, you're doing well. Let's just give us this money and then you'll get this one opportunity. That'll be your big break, right? That whole thing is kind of slimy to me. I think there's a better way to do it, a better way to word it, a better way to go about things. Again, I'm just going off articles and reports from other people's experiences. But the identical rejection letter thing is really interesting to me because supposedly these opportunities on ReverbNation are from third parties. They're from other organizations, other businesses, other companies, right? So you would imagine that if you are rejected from, XYZ company's opportunity, that you would get a different rejection letter from that company than you would get from, ABC companies. So it is possible that ReverbNation is like, you have to use this rejection letter no matter what you're doing. But it does seem strange when they have different opportunities that are different things, right? One might be, oh, you win a record label opportunity. One might be, oh, you get to do this live show, right? So because they're different opportunities, I would expect that these rejection letters would be different, that they would let these rejection letters be different. And I don't know. Maybe they're innocent. Maybe they are supplying a stock rejection letter and they're like, use this. But it's a question. It raises the question of whether or not these opportunities are even legit opportunities. And it does seem like they would have gotten in more trouble by now if they weren't. But sometimes it takes a while for things to come out. I don't know. So that's a question that I have about the whole system. And I have seen people like trying to go for these opportunities before, especially online. I see people posting about them sometimes, and I'm sure it like generates more buzz and more traffic towards ReverbNation. But I don't know. I would like to know more about how those work, and maybe what I should do is try to actually use the site and figure out what's actually happening here. I don't know. So if you're curious, check out some of the links in my description. try it yourself, figure it out yourself. So yeah, I won't be using my credit card if I do sign up for this and try it out just for a video. But it would be interesting to see how high I could rank, especially if someone were to make like a fake band, right? You have a fake band that you could get ranking number 1. That would be interesting. Yeah. Or just to see how high I could rank, connecting my social media and not really doing much and not having a ton of views or a ton of listens. Because I don't for any of my music. Like, I've been an audio engineer this whole time. I'm not an artist, Making my own music is kind of a new thing for me. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I guess I'm just making this video to start a conversation about it. And because I'm curious about it, I already went down a whole rabbit hole about ReverbNation, and I'm curious to hear what other people's experiences are and what other people's thoughts are. And I thought it was fairly interesting. So I thought I'd share what I did here. So let me know if you've used ReverbNation in the comments below, what your experience was like, what you've learned about it. And let me know if you think I should make more of a video on this topic. But other than that, please like, comment, and subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'd appreciate all of that stuff. I do have a Patreon. The big thing I've been focusing on lately is the Discord server, where we're all hanging out and we're talking about audio and sharing stuff with each other. And that's patreon.com/CatoNoise. So if you feel so inclined, please check that out. And other than that, I come out with new videos every Wednesday. And thanks so much for hanging out. Okay. And today I have sparkle pants on because I'm going to the San Diego Music Awards after this. So that should be fun. Okay, bye.